Kateryna, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. Would you start just by introducing yourself and your work to our listeners?
Yes, hi to all the listeners, and thank you for having me, David. I'm a reporter for openDemocracy for over a year now. I'm based in Kyiv, and I cover the war and also home front socioeconomic situation in the country.
Well, Kateryna, the article we want to talk to you about today is all about drones. You've been looking at Ukrainian government provision of drones to its soldiers. One very interesting point you make in your article is that there was a period last year in 2022 when enough drones were being produced for frontline soldiers, but now there's a shortage. Could you tell us some of the reasons you found and some of the reasons the soldiers told you for why this is the case?
Well, weren't produced enough of them, but they were delivered. Volunteers managed to deliver enough of drones. A lot of money had been gathered around Ukraine also to buy more drones for soldiers. I think it's because the involvement of the public and the amount of donations and money at the beginning, in the first year, was much higher. We see maybe the decline in this kind of involvement of the society. Maybe I think it's due to just the time is dragging. But then also there are a few limits, like China limited their export of drones to Ukraine, and this is from 1st of September. So not only the drones, but also parts that are used by Ukrainian manufacturers to produce drones. This is something soldiers are feeling this on the front lines. One soldier that I talked to told me that he would wish that they had 3 times more drones as they do now, and some for extra.
One of the interesting disagreements that you pick up on, I think, in your article is how the authorities decide which units to send the drones to and how that's causing some unrest and some anger amongst the people you speak to. Could you explain what's happening there?
Yes, I think some of it is the military bureaucracy. The special forces unit that I talked to told me that when he tried to apply for a certain amount of drones for his units, he went through all the procedures of the bureaucracy that had to be done, and to receive drones at the last stage of when there's distribution of drones, they were given to another unit that showed better results in hits, meaning that they hit more targets and they had a better record of them. This internal military bureaucracy that is notably difficult to navigate for some soldiers.
You mentioned earlier that one of the vital parts of the delivery was from volunteers, often either volunteers in Ukraine or foreign volunteers as well. How important are these drones and these deliveries to the frontline troops? It'd be good to get a sense of how much is covered now by the government and how much is still coming from abroad, from volunteers internally.
Well, volunteers are vital, not only for the drones, it's mostly for procurement of all necessities that militaries started from boots, ending with maybe even tanks. Some foundations like Serhiy Prytula's foundation are gathering huge amounts of money to, notably gathered last year millions of hryvnias for a couple of Bayraktars. So I think the civil society donations, volunteers are very important to the cause. But at the same time, there is understanding that the war is lasting longer. A lot of Ukrainians expected it. And there should be new ways to support the army, and state should be involved. That's why Ukrainian state has introduced some of the programs for drone procurement and production. They facilitated bureaucratic procedures for manufacturers to get a license with the state. But at the same time, when I talked to the manufacturer of drones here in Ukraine, he told me that the state helps to move the production and scale the production. For them, the work with the state is very important. At the same time, they're trying to leave a percentage of their product to volunteers. They charge for drones, for example, less than for the state, so it would be easier for them to buy the products. And the specific manufacturer, Warbirds, told me that 60% of their drones go to the state and 40% go to the volunteers. At the same time, he said that state could buy 3 times more than they can produce, because there is such a need for more.